There we go. I really wish you could see the sunset. It is beautiful. But anyways, welcome back. You want parts. You're tired of parts being unavailable. You want things. You want to ensure that your old small airplane is going to be flyable for the next 20 years, even though it probably should have retired 20 years ago. And I'm with you on that. Would I much rather just buy a brand new airplane and fly around comfortably and be super safe and have the parachutes and all that kind of stuff? Of course. I like nice things. I like comfort. I love technology. But I am also passionate about old small airplanes, the vintage feel of them, the care and feeding, the passion that it takes to keep an old thing going. Because I think about my own life, and I'd hope someone would want to save me if I just had a few issues here or there. My wife's always listening. Thank you for your hard work. Let's hop to the computer and I'll show you how far I've gotten in the design phase of reverse engineering for academic purposes. Got to make this clear. There's a bunch of new people on the channel who think, oh, you can't make your own parts. Keyboard warriors, calm down, pump the brakes. You will be okay, and so will I. We're going to hop to the computer. I'm going to show you how I'm designing this thing using some basic shapes and techniques on a CAD software so that I can get the information I need to talk to a vendor or a parts maker, parts manufacturer, to help me get parts for my old small airplane. Let's hop to the computer and I'll show you what I'm doing there.
Are you ready to learn some stuff? Good. What you're looking at here is the interface of a piece of software called SolidWorks. It's a tool that engineers and people at home, and if you have an EAA subscription, you can download a cheaper copy of SolidWorks and do design stuff there. It's blank right now because I haven't made anything at all. I'm just going to show you something from start to finish, a random thing, and you can see how parts come together. The reason this is important is your mind might not be able to wrap itself around how we go from just lines on a piece of paper into 3D representations. And what I should have done was I should have gone out into the real world and picked an example of a thing, measured it, and then showed you how to make it. But this is not a tutorial about how to use SolidWorks. There are hundreds of those out there, maybe thousands of those out there on YouTube, the same program you're using right now to watch me poke around in this piece of software. Go educate yourself, read the forums, ask questions, maybe go take a night class, and you'll be able to run software like FreeCAD and Onshape and SolidWorks and Adobe Fusion. They're all very similar. If you can run one, you can run them all. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hop on the top plane because I want to look at my part from the top down. I'm going to sketch a shape. This shape is just going to be a circle. This circle, I can add a dimension. The dimension of this circle is going to be 1 inch. Off of that circle, I'm going to add another circle. And the dimension of that one from the first one is going to be a 1/4 inch. And that's it. I now have a circle, but I need to make it 3D. It's still 2D, I need to make it 3D. Every CAD program has the same options to take a drawing like this, a sketch, and turn it into a feature or a solid part. I am going to pull on this sketch and make it a 3D part. I need to extrude this part, and I want this to be 1 inch wide. Congratulations, we have just made our first part together. Now, if I wanted to stylize this part, there's a whole bunch of other stuff I can do. I can curve the edges or smooth the edges out, like so, and give it dimensions. Then all of a sudden I have a much cooler looking cylinder. Actually looks pretty cool. Let me turn some of this real view stuff off so you can actually see what we're looking at. Yeah, so that's kind of like a spacer. How about if I wanted to punch a hole through that thing? Well, I can come on the side and maybe I had a bolt and the bolt needed to pass through the spacer right about here. And that shank of the bolt is a 1/4 inch. And maybe I know that that bolt will pass through the exact center of this shape. So I can do something like that and make this perfectly horizontal. And then I can make sure that this point is always vertical from that point. And then I can extrude a hole. So suddenly I have a thing with a hole through it. And because those holes are super rough, we're going to do the same feature that we just did on the side. And we are going to apply a little smoothing. Ta-da, congratulations, we have made a thing. I do not know what this thing is. I just made this up so you can see that it's easy to fly through CAD software like this to make really simple things. You get some dimensions, you think about parts in their elementary shapes like circles and squares and spheres, and then you go from there and you can make cool stuff. Does that make sense? Okay, I hope it does. I'm not going to save that because we're going to pop over here. This is where I've gotten to in the lens design that we 3D scanned in the last video in this series.
All right, stop, collaborate, and listen, because I'm back with a brand new mission. All right, we're not going to do that much longer. There's a good chance that you are new here and you do not realize that the stuff we're talking about is academic in nature. The part that I'm making does not go on my airplane. It goes on some other airplane. It could be experimental. It could be certified. It really doesn't matter to me. I am just showing you the tools and techniques that we have to potentially save general aviation from itself. Because you have read somewhere on a forum that owners can't produce their own parts, or the regulations don't allow you to put uncertified parts on airplanes. You need PMAs, you need TSOs. That is not the full story. I've asked you in the past to go and research NORCE, VARMA, and then read up and have a conversation with your ANPIA about how owners can be involved in the process of keeping their product legal, safe, and airworthy. I'm pointing to the hangar because the airplane's in there. Doesn't matter if you're certified, doesn't matter if you're experimental, you are going to have a parts problem at some point that you will have to solve. A 2026 Beechcraft Bonanza is also going to be old at some point. And these techniques should last the life of your flying career to help you get through some parts availability problems. Now, how do we certify? How do we approve this? How do we install these parts on the airplane? We're not talking about that in this episode. We may do a future episode about that. But before you report me to the FAA, because one of you will, just know that I'm trying to do my part to help you dream and imagine the ways that we can try to save general aviation. And if you're not interested in those kind of things, you have 10 seconds from right now. Almost there. There we go. You should have left the chat by now. For the rest of you who stuck around, let's go see how we can save general aviation from itself. From ourselves? From itself. I don't know.
Actually applied a material to it and made it glass, quote unquote. It's not glass, of course. It's like a polycarbonate, but I wanted it to look right. Okay, we started with the 3D part. Do you remember this? Well, you should, because that video that we did recently, we 3D scanned the part, and it's showing up as glass again because I've got glass set as one of the color options on here, but it doesn't have to be. There we go. What we need to do from this is extract some information. So I brought it into SolidWorks and I figured out the boundaries of this thing. I kind of cut it in half and I figured out where the boundaries were. You see that blue line? That's approximately the shape of this lens. After I got that blue line, I also got the blue line on the back side so I can get its shape, right? And I'm not going to use that blue line because you can see here that the blue line is very jagged. It's not what we need to create a new modern part. I am going to use my own skills to sketch my own part. And this is what that sketch looks like. It's just a curve. It's a part of a circle, perhaps. But that curve is an approximation of the shape of this thing. And over here didn't 3D scan, but I know it continues, so I just kind of approximated it from the opposite side. All right, you following? We have a line. It's really that simple. After the step of creating that line, I created another line. You can't see it. Oh yeah, the line is here on the bottom, so I could see where the outline of the part is, that curve right there. Then SolidWorks has a cool feature called loft. It's called surface loft. It will loft between one drawing and the next. So it's going to try to figure out analytically how to connect one line to the next line. And we end up with something that looks like this. Well, you can't see it because it's hidden by the original part, but trust me, it is there. It is a representation of the part, but instead of being the jagged part, it's just a drawing of the part itself. If I hide the original part, you can soon see, once my computer, there we go. We now have a shape. You see how smooth it is? It's a geometric shape, it's got dimension, it's got all kinds of cool stuff going on. We took the sketch from the back, we made a sketch in the front, and then we lofted those sketches together and gave it some guidance on how to loft those things together. That step right there probably took 30 minutes to get where I wanted it to get to. But this is a very simple shape. This is really nothing complicated. So the fact that we're struggling to make parts like this in SolidWorks is telling me a lot about where we are in our education frame. We need to do better. Send your kids to school to become design engineers, artists, teachers, doctors, plumbers, things that are going to be helpful for you in your future. Now, what we did from that point on is a whole bunch of other operations, and let's step through them bit by bit. Let's go back here. So I have a shape, and it's just a surface. It has no thickness. It's just a picture of a thickness. It's really thin. From that point on, what I do need to do is thicken it, okay? So I essentially told it to take that outer shape, the blue part of what you see clicked on here, and make it thicker, make it some thickness. And I don't remember what thickness I selected, 1/10 of an inch in thickness. I could have used calipers to measure the part that I have and ensure that that would do the job, but about 1/10 of an inch should be okay for the stuff that we're working on. You'll also see down at the bottom, I added an extra lip. That's that lip that you see in blue. It's a swept surface, so it's an extension of the thing. So let's do this. Let's turn the shadows off. If I extended it down, I just gave it a little extra length. I hope that makes sense. I gave it a little extra length on the bottom. That way, if the person that needs to put this on a thing, whether it's their experimental airplane or whatever it is, if they need that extra length, they could shave it off, they can grind it off, they can match it to the thing that they are putting this lens on, okay? And that's it. So now we have a part. What we can do with this part is save it in a myriad of file formats, from SolidWorks part to, to an STL, a 3MF file. We can do all this cool stuff, step files, IGES files. We can even save it as the DXF or a JPEG. And then I can go online, pull up a website of partsmaker.com. I just made that up. Don't go look for partsmaker.com. And then I can tell them, here's my file. I want you to 3D print this. I want you to machine this. I want you to make me a mold of this. Or I can put this shape into my 3D printer and create my own mold. As a matter of fact, let me show you something.
There we go. Now we have a 3D printed part. It's in a material called PLA, which is very cheap, probably costs like 20 cents to print this thing. But I printed it so I can check the dimensions, and that seems to be a pretty good fit. Remember we put a little bit of a step on the bottom, but the shape and the approximation is very, very good. I've all the confidence in the world that this would actually fit if I tried to put it on whatever part of the airplane these things came from or whatever airplane these came off of. I'm pretty sure this would fit. We'd drill some holes and that would be the prototype. Now I have confidence in this. I can take this part and send it onto the internet and see if different parts manufacturers or printers would make me a mold and do a vacuum form of this lens, or would directly 3D print in a resin, a high strength, high clarity, transparent resin, to make a replacement part of this. We're not talking about certification. We're not talking about the documentation to put in your logbook to get this back on a certified airplane. We're just talking process. And as you can see, in the comfort of my own home, that's my backyard, we are doing things to save general aviation. I hope this has been an interesting video. The third series or third iteration of this series, we're gonna go shop out some online vendors and see what we can do. Oh, and before I let you go, remember this is all academic in nature. I don't have an airplane to put these on. I don't want to have an airplane that those go on directly, but maybe it's opening up some of your thought processes to figure out how you might get that old airplane up and flying again. Consult a designated engineering representative, a DER, on how to do some of these things. Consult a local design or aerospace engineer on what it would take. But this is a very simple example, and I think you should be inspired now. If you're not, I will give back the money that you spent watching this video. Check on your neighbors. Weather's getting really nice outside. Get the elderly outside. Go have a walk with them, a talk with them. Make sure that your elderly neighbors are doing okay. I really, really mean that. If you don't do it, I'm going to stop making videos. All right, we'll catch you later.